Welcome, everybody, to our 10th episode of What's Going Down in MMA. I am Eric, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Geoff. Today is Thursday, November 17th, and we're going to be breaking down UFC 140, taking place December 10th, which also happens to be a pretty stacked card.
And before we give you our UFC 140 predictions, we'd love to give a shout out to Gary, Matt, Chris, Dustin, Joel, and Matt MC from MMA Discussion on Facebook. Check them out at facebook.com/MMA Discussion. And also, while you're there, check us out at What's Going Down in MMA on Facebook. Now, Eric, we're going to be talking about UFC 140, which is the UFC's return to Toronto this year at the Air Canada Centre. John Jones is making his fighting debut in Canada and his second title defense against former champion Lyoto Machida. Also, Big Nog and Frank Mir are going to have a rematch, and we have Little Nogueira versus Tito Ortiz in a light heavyweight battle. Let's get this started with those two. Eric, how do you see Little Nog and Tito going down?
Well, I thought Little Nog looked really good against his fight against Phil Davis a while back. Of course, he didn't win, but I thought he put up a good fight and whatnot. Tito Ortiz, of course, coming off his loss to Rashad Evans, but again, even in that one, he didn't look horrible. He looked decent. Interesting enough, the odds makers do have this one pretty close. They do have Little Nogueira though as a slight favorite. I believe he's like minus 175. So I really do think that Little Nogueira, I think he's going to be able to use his boxing, his striking, to keep Tito away. I think Tito's going to try the takedown. I don't think he's going to be able to get it. And I think on the stand-up, I do think that Tito Ortiz is just a little slower than Big Nog too. So I think really that Little Nogueira is going to be able to just kind of pick him off on the stand-up. And I see this one probably going to a 3-round decision to Little Nogueira.
Yeah, I agree with that. I believe that Little Nog has the better boxing, so I believe he has the better striking. I believe that also he has very good takedown defense. I haven't seen Tito take an opponent down in a while. No. We know that Little Nog was able to stop the takedowns from Phil Davis for a while. So I know he does have good takedown defense, and we know how good he is off of his back. So if Tito does take him down, it's going to be no walk in the park after that. It's going to be still a challenge. And I believe that Nogueira, with his superior striking, will probably keep it on the feet, probably hurt Tito. I don't see him finishing the fight. I'd probably go to decision. Tito didn't look too bad against Ryan Bader, like you said, and he took that Rashad Evans fight on 3 weeks' notice. So he didn't look awful on that fight either. But I think Tito has his back against the wall. I think Tito needs to try to fight with everything he has because he might get cut if he loses here.
Yeah, and plus another interesting thing I think is that, even if Tito does try to take down Little Nogueira is still a Nogueira. Good jiu-jitsu. It'd be interesting to see if even if Tito does take him down, if Nogueira might be able to submit Tito. Even though I do still see this going to a 3-round decision. Yeah. Now on to our next prediction. The co-main event of the evening is a rematch of Big Nog, Minotaur Nogueira, of course, and Frank Mir. Now, the first time these two fought was in December of 2008, where Frank Mir beat Nogueira in the first round and won the UFC interim heavyweight title. Geoff, how do you see this one going down?
Well, I hope we don't see a replay of that first fight. Mm-hmm. We know that Nogueira had a staph infection and was hurt 6 days before that fight. He was in the hospital, so he probably wasn't 100% fighting Frank Mir. Frank Mir wants to prove the doubters wrong, that it was not a fluke, that he beat Nogueira decisively. He dropped him 3 times in that fight, and it was, quote-unquote, the first time Nogueira was finished, according to the decision, what happened. So I think Nogueira is going to try to come in extra motivated. He came in strong off that Brandon Schaub win in UFC Rio, where Brandon Schaub was a heavy favorite, and Nogueira knocked him out in the first round. Mm-hmm. So I think Nogueira is strong. He had his surgeries. He had a big layoff. He had his two hip reconstructive surgeries and knee reconstructive surgeries. So I think he's going to be stronger than he was when he fought before against Cain Velasquez and Randy and stuff. So I think hopefully it will be a different fight. But I see it going to decision. I think they're going to probably cancel each other out on the wrestling. I don't see this fight probably going to the ground. I see it probably standing, and I'm going to say a decision for Frank Mir. Probably a close fight. I'm not going to say a decisive, unanimous fight, but probably a split decision maybe for Frank Mir.
Yeah, the odds makers have Frank Mir as a favorite on this one as well. I believe he's minus 275. I think Big Nogueira is plus 215. Pretty much Frank Mir is being looked at right now as a 2-1 favorite, and for good reason. The last time they fought, Mir wasn't as big as he is now either. He's not too big either. I think he said somewhere around 250 he's comfortable with. He feels like his striking has a lot of power, yet it's not weighing him down or anything like that extra weight. So I do think it's probably going to go to 3-round decision. I think it's going to stay on the feet, but I think Frank Mir is going to use his distance, use his striking, and I really do see this one probably going to a 2-3 round decision going to Frank Mir. Yeah.
And now on to the main event. John Bones Jones, the youngest champion in UFC history, will fight for the 4th time this year and will try to defend his title for the 2nd time against former championship holder Lyoto the Dragon Machida. Let me make this clear. I'm a Lyoto Machida fan, so I'm going to be a little biased, but I'm going to do my best to predict from my brain and not from my heart. So, Eric, how do you see this fight going down, and what should Lyoto Machida do to stop John Jones?
Well, again, going to the odds makers, Johnny Bones Jones is a 4-1 favorite in this one, minus 450, which is pretty heavy there. Lyoto Machida is the underdog, of course, at plus 350. And for good reason. I mean, Johnny Bones Jones is just, I consider him really undefeated, even though, of course, that what happened against Matt Hamill, the illegal elbows. I mean, he's been blasting people. And, I mean, what he did to Shogun, what he did against Rampage, I mean, it's just been something incredible to see. And I think he could go down as one of the best mixed martial arts fighters in history. Yeah. So I do see, of course, John Jones winning this fight. The way I see it going down, though, I don't see it being a really dominant performance necessarily. I do think it's going to go to 5-round decision. I do think, of course, Lyoto Machida is still one of the most elusive fighters in MMA, and so I think he's going to avoid a lot of Johnny Bones Jones' strikes, not all of them. And so, but I do think John, if he does try some of that flashy elbow stuff or whatever, that's going to be a big mistake because that's where Lyoto Machida could really capitalize. But if Johnny Bones Jones does play it smart, uses his striking, uses his reach advantage, I do see him winning this one, most likely by a 5-round decision and retaining his belt.
I do believe that John Jones is the future of the sport, and I believe he probably is the present. We saw what he did to Rampage. He finished Rampage in the UFC. No one has ever done that. He finished Shogun like TKO. I don't think anyone's even done that to Shogun.
Yeah.
And he's dominated every single person he's gone up against, and he's just growing better and better. He's the perfect type of fighter to just, every time you see him, he's different than the last time, he's better than the last time. I think John Jones has that reach. He has like an 8 or 9 inch reach advantage over Machida. But these two guys are very elusive. Both of them are kind of elusive in terms of that they love to kind of avoid damage. And so I think Machida is going to try to counter, but I don't know how he's going to be able to counter with Jones having that big reach. You know, Jones is a lot, he has the wrestling also, so if he gets a hold of him, he's probably going to take him down. I've been reading, though, that Lyoto Machida has put on 22 pounds of muscle for this fight, and he's also been training in a smaller octagon so he can keep his distance. I think Machida is coming in motivated. I don't think he's ever been this well prepared, but we know how good John Jones is. It's just a difference in levels. I think this is gonna be a tough fight for both fighters. I don't think this is gonna be a dominating fight for either. I think this is gonna be kind of like a back and forth possibly. If Jones does something wild, maybe Machida can catch him, and vice versa. So I think that they both fight with good angles, and it's gonna be an interesting stylistic matchup. It's gonna be like a puzzle, and so I believe that if the fight goes to a decision, I'm gonna give it to John Jones because he has the wrestling. If the fight gets finished, I'm gonna give it to Machida, because I've seen Machida knock people out, and I have not seen John Jones decisively knock someone out. So that's my pick. I'm going to go John Jones by decision, a close fight. No way mean disrespecting him. I think he's great. I think he is the future, but it's going to be a tough challenge ahead of him.
Yeah, we'll see. Should be interesting. All right, well, that is our prediction for UFC 140. Let us know what you think in the comment section and on our Facebook page. And thank you for the support. Now, of course, a special thank you going out to Chris Luna, Obi Chique, Joey Catalina, and John Michael Macias for helping us have this little thing we call the show. Eric and Geoff with you, of course, as always. Have a good one. Peace out, everybody.